Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest in the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Christine Wzorek on the line, and she's a founder and CEO of White Label Advisors. Christine, welcome to the show.
Adam, pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, I'm so excited to get into White Label Advisors and really how you're helping your clients and businesses succeed. And of course, we'll be talking about the upcoming book. So I won't spoiler it, but we'll get into that as well. But to kick this episode off, we'll start it the way that we start them all with our Mission Matters Minute. So, Christine, we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Christine, what mission matters to you?
Thanks, Adam. Redefining business strategy with human intelligence is what matters to me. Very intimately and passionately, that is what I'm striving for.
It's awesome. I love bringing mission-based individuals on the line to share why they do what they do and what wakes them up in the morning, right? To get out there and make a difference. Not easy being an entrepreneur, business owner, creating and adding value. So thanks for making time to come on the show. And thanks for coming into the upcoming book. So we're going to talk about that, but maybe we take a couple steps back and tell us how you got started as an entrepreneur and in business.
Sure, I appreciate that. It's largely driven by this mission and the purpose. And collectively, through my experience over the past 22, 23 years, really understanding through peripheral observation and pattern recognition that there is this kind of latent potential or this value gap that a lot of business models are leaving on the table. And by bringing that together, a fully integrated human capital strategy, we can capture latent potential and turn that into a perpetual force multiplier. And so, I understand that being an entrepreneur and a business owner can be tough, but at the same time, I think it is the most rewarding piece of my career thus far.
It's awesome. And speaking of patterns, do you find, you work with a lot of different business owners, entrepreneurs. Do you find that like personality wise or otherwise, like certain patterns in individuals kind of make people like gravitate towards that entrepreneurship thing? Like, can anybody learn to be an entrepreneur? Or does this have to be something you're born with?
Great question. I would say anyone can learn it, and
Yeah.
that will tie into the chapter a little bit. Yet, what it really comes down to is being very clear on your purpose and your
Mm,
mission, and just being willing to roll your sleeves up, put in
yeah.
the work, invest the time,
Mhm.
and letting that ego go because
Mm.
you're learning a lot, and those career changes or those pivot changes can in some ways lead to an identity crisis for people if they recognize their value or their network recognizes them in a different way.
Man, the ego is the most expensive part of business. It's not your product. either
It's
either
true.
based on like money you've lost because you've maybe invested or done something that you shouldn't have done, but the ego is like, this is my baby. No, it's my idea. Or opportunity cost of like missing something that you could have been like, another way you could have been adding value within the context of your business, or who knows if it was supposed to be the next business you launched that you didn't because the ego was holding on. Oh, that's
Right.
the expensive part of business right there.
Yep.
Um, so taking it, I guess, a step further, right? So entrepreneurs, do you believe anybody can be one, number one, but as somebody is kind of getting, their feet wet in the business, so to speak, like myself, because I'll tell you where this question is coming from. Like I didn't really consider myself an entrepreneur. I was an accidentalpreneur. Like I started
Mm.
something, I had another business I was in, a financial advisor, just kind of straight laced business for a long time. And then over time, that bug kind of got to me. And I was like, well, wait a minute, I should be doing this and this and this. So as somebody's going through that transition phase, maybe, like what would be some of the things you tell them, like based on your experience?
I appreciate that question and thanks for sharing your experience too. What I would share with someone is if you're truly passionate
Mhm.
and see a need in the market that is not being fulfilled, uh, get really clear on what your strategy and goals would be
Mm.
around that. And entering the market at the right time is critical. And so you have to have a good sense of where the market's at for your industry, and getting very clear on what your ideal candidate or client
Mhm.
profile is. Um, and working out that messaging, I'm sure you know,
Yeah.
working out messaging is key. And you can't sell a product, service, mission, purpose
Mhm.
without people understanding what it is.
Yeah, and it's like even with all that being said, like we're still gonna make mistakes, right? Like we're
Yeah,
human, and especially if you're a newer entrepreneur, I'm always like it's okay to fail. Like it happens. It's not gonna feel good. It's not gonna be good for the bank account, like all those things. But I'd say I'm probably like 20 businesses. And if we talk about like my childhood businesses, right? Like
right.
selling baseball cards or who knows what I was doing as a kid, but like it's okay. It's a growing process like anything else. Just like if you're an executive watching this and think about all those years that you spent kind of climbing that corporate ladder. Now you maybe want to go out on your own, or you want to have a startup or something else. It might be a different skill set depending on what responsibilities you had at your in your current role. Like it's okay. It's an evolution to get from where you are to where you want to be.
Absolutely. I love that you would use the word evolution. I was in meetings yesterday with a new executive team, and we were talking about the evolutionary process and progress of their experience, but then also the systems that they're building out. So, such a good word.
And so I want to jump around a little bit here. So the upcoming book. Now we're not going to spoiler it all. Like for everybody watching, we will bring Christine back on the show to do a deep dive once the book is live, because we want to also have that link live. Because why, we do sell books, so we want you to pick up some copies, right? And get those out to people in the people's hands that need them or could benefit from them, of course. But maybe give us a flavor, an idea of what you hope your readers will get from your writing.
Thanks, Adam. What I'm hoping the readers will get is being comfortable, being more self introspective and
Mm,
self aware to
yeah.
support the the greater purpose and the greater mission. And I really believe that we
Mhm.
cannot lead until we are whole in and of ourselves,
Mm.
that we have a great deal of self worth, that we understand our value and can respect ourselves enough to go move forward and carry that forward and really impact other people in the market.
Talk to me about content creation. So meaning a lot,
Mhm.
a lot of individuals that want to get out there. They want to do a book. They want to do a podcast. I mean, they want to. When I say this, now everybody looks at me like I'm a media guy, right? Because this is what I do. But I was a financial advisor for almost 14 years, and I was deathly afraid of a camera or anything. I'm like, don't put me in front of anything. I don't want to deal with anything. I just want to be in my office. I want to do my financial plans and leave me alone, right? And I'm gonna go
Yeah,
to work
I understand
go
that.
home at the end of the day. That's where I came from. So, but people don't always believe me on this. But getting back to the question, so content creation, like, why do you think that's important to participate in books or podcasts, like interviews like this? Like, what does that mean to you?
Thanks. It's really, really important. I have ideas swimming around in my head all the time. You'll see the whiteboard behind me. Some of the ink is a little bit lighter, but I am constantly brainstorming,
Mhm,
not only for our company and looking forward and saying, where's the market headed, kind
mhm,
of running through SWOT analyses, yet uh, ideas of how we can be curating, systems or processes
mhm,
differently, or how we could remessage something or retool something so that it's understood better by way of our clients or by way of our market.
mhm,
So content creation is critical. And what I love now is that through technology and the evolution there, we have fantastic AI note taker apps that are plugging into our Zoom meetings. And those are kind of these treasure troves for content curation, because if you're having fantastic debate or
mhm.
conversation within a meeting,
Yeah.
use that, repurpose that information by way of blog posts, by way of social media, and really dive into that content, because that establishes you as a
Mm.
thought leader and a knowledge expert in your area of expertise or new area of entrepreneurship. So
Oh, I love it. And some of the content that you'll come out with from those meetings, to me, it's the best because it's like, I
Mhm.
can never say this word. I'm going to try it anyway. And it's going to sound silly.
You got
The
it.
speakers, the experturaneous, I can never say the word. What's the word? You probably know the word. The people that go up there and they speak and they have an idea of what they want to say. They might have some notes, but they don't speak from a script. Expertaneous, whatever. I can never say the word. But anyway, those type of speakers, what happens is this format allows you to then take that part, like, because you're also, when you're in a meeting or doing things, you're formulating certain ideas, or maybe you're going deeper into a concept than you thought surface level on in the past, and you're discovering new things as well. So having it documented, being able to reflect, even obviously for the sake of the company, but then to be able to repurpose it is genius.
Absolutely. And your, clients or your, portfolio, they need that. They need to
Yeah.
know, what's in your head because it will lend to that experience for them.
They don't know what you know, right? That's my
Exactly.
mantra. People don't know what you know. You gotta tell them.
Mhm.
Like they can't read your mind, Adam. So that's where I'm at with that one.
Yeah.
Let's get further into your company. So Human Error Solutions. So you mentioned some of the things you do, but let's go further. Tell us exactly what you do and how you're helping companies succeed.
Sure. So with White Label Advisors, we're truly a fully integrated human capital strategic advisor where we enable high growth companies to perform. And what is so fascinating about what we do is when I meet with an executive team or a CEO, I'm not having that conversation around headcount and workforce planning.
Yeah.
What I'm asking them is a lot of what we've talked about today. What are your goals? What's your strategy? And walk me through what your company is going to look like in 3 to 5 years,
Yeah.
because we're only going to achieve that through the people that are there. And I need to essentially understand that so I can reverse engineer a human capital strategy that is going to help you deliver on what those goals are. And go ahead.
So human capital strategy. I don't want to assume
Mhm.
that everybody understands that. That's your world, and maybe some do, but let's go a little bit further into what that means.
Sure. So, with human capital strategy, we are looking at essentially the internal business within the business. We are serving the internal customers, which are the employees,
Yeah.
divisions, department heads, senior leadership, and executive leadership. And we have simplified kind of a metric or KPIs for that into three simple categories. And that's, is the employee happy, fulfilled, and safe?
Yeah.
So happiness lends to the relationship that an employee or an individual contributor has with their people leader or manager. It also focuses on the fulfillment aspect of, are they able to contribute and belong in a very meaningful way where they're fulfilled. Now, that could be from career pathing and career growth. It could be from special projects. It could be ERG groups, employee resource groups. And then the last piece is the safety piece. What psychological safety do they have, or what level of psychological safety do they have within the organization, within their team, within their division? And we achieve high numbers or performing KPIs in those areas by
Mm.
linking the talent acquisition strategy, or kind of in layman's terms, we talk about recruiting,
Yeah.
but within talent acquisition or recruiting, it really is a sales process.
Mm.
And again, kind of going back to that internal business within a business,
Mhm.
how are we structuring and what level of resources and respect and commitment are we giving to building an internal sales process so the messaging around our company's purpose, mission, vision, values,
Yeah.
and the career growth that we tend to promise within that phase, we're actually able to fulfill on by hiring the right candidates through to performance management, through leadership training and development,
Mm.
so that again, the organization is operationalized to fulfill on the
Mhm.
overall goals and strategies.
It's
Does that help?
amazing. It does.
Good.
For white label advisors, do you specialize in a certain industry or versus another, or like who typically gets the most value out of working with you and your team, whether it's industry, whether it's size of company? Give us a little more there.
Great question. The companies that get the most value out of us are typically Series A on
Mhm,
up, and we do work with pre-IPO companies as well,
mhm,
but they are in this high growth phase. So it could be
mhm,
emerging growth, could be growth, or if they're going through some type of organizational transformation,
yeah,
whether that's cultural or after or even pre event,
mhm,
such as an M&A, that's where they will get the most value out of us because we're doing a lot of work within the systems and
mhm,
process, understanding costing and budgeting around
mhm,
people, but then also creating value perpetuity within the
mhm.
programs that we're creating to ensure employee engagement through proper leadership training and development.
Tell me more about some of the challenges that maybe organizations face when they're in these high growth modes.
Sure, great question. So most often organizations to get that lift off the ground, right? To
Yeah.
get that air underneath the wings as they're
Oh, yeah.
building the plane in the air sometimes, is
It's in,
understanding.
and once you're flying, you're like, "Oh, there."
Yep. Yeah, we wanna minimize turbulence as much as possible.
Yeah.
So what they're focused on, rightly so,
Mhm.
is revenue and then product development, because they have to, once they,
Yeah.
close a client in that sales process, they've got to implement and deliver on product,
Mhm. Mhm.
or, services, kind of in the same, you know, kind of caveat. So with that, oftentimes other departments are lagging behind by way of maturity, by way of sophistication in their systems and process. So I use this analogy a
Mhm.
lot for kind of sometimes the incongruence that
Mhm.
HR human capital can have with the rest of the organization,
Mhm.
because typically organizations bring HR in
Mhm.
too late, so they're not developing their HR, their human capital
Yeah.
strategy in tandem with product development and revenue growth, but
Mhm.
they're kind of handing those tasks and responsibilities off to
Mhm.
maybe an office manager, right? Because they're good at paper. They've got a
Yeah.
PEO that they've essentially tried to outsource that responsibility to. But there becomes a significant gap again in what goals are we trying
Mhm.
to achieve,
Yeah.
and how the people are truly going to deliver on that.
Yeah. I understand that you also have a specialty or operate in the M&A space as well, right?
We do. Yep, and that's a lot of fun. So, uh, in kind of my past life before I turned entrepreneur and business owner, I supported significant M&A activity that was very rapid for a development
Mm.
company, and that was a fascinating experience. And as I was,
Yeah.
kind of working through my own candidate experience
Mhm.
to join that group, I was fascinated by what M&As do to the individual and to the team. And personally, my family, we relocated quite a bit during my
Mhm.
childhood due to M&A activity. My
Mhm.
dad was a chemical engineer, and I grew up primarily between Augusta, Georgia, Chicago, and
Mhm.
San Diego, California, because of that, and very different cultures, from the South to the Midwest to the West Coast, and I wanted to understand what the employee's experience was through an M&A.
Mhm.
What challenges, what concerns, and what benefits did they receive through kind of pre-event and post-event, and I was able to take that information and apply that to the M&A activity that we were going through at this development group. And another kind of lucky experience was we were acquiring brands that were still uh,
Mhm.
owner operated, and each
Mhm.
brand had a very distinct and unique culture and
Mhm.
messaging. And we created a centralized human capital program that was
Mhm.
able to serve the needs of each brand and help them maintain their own culture, which was really important for those employees to continue to identify and feel trust,
Mhm.
and be seen as an employee, not a number, right? Going through a major event like that. And so now what we do for our clients is we run, a typical M&A due diligence playbook We
Mm,
support systems integration. We support all of the pre and post activities within due diligence, but we add on a layer of cultural assimilation. And we
mm,
look at the communication, the context, maybe the rate of pace and work that two different organizations are providing and
mhm,
accustomed to, so that we can better assimilate, not just
mhm,
integrate. Assimilation is different. Assimilation is a full kind of acceptance and adoption
mhm,
of each culture or both cultures, to really move forward. And that, if we achieve full assimilation, that's where we're really generating the most
mm,
value we can
mm.
after these deals.
No, it's great, and I love that you make that distinction, by the way, because it is very different. And if you think about it, for maybe if you've been through them and witnessed them, and you've been affected by them, but for those that haven't, it's like when that happens, like especially if your world kind of changes, and culture is a big deal, and the fact that you kind of zero in on that as well. I feel like in the past, maybe in the business world, that was maybe looked over a little bit, huh?
Absolutely. A fantastic representation of that is
Mhm,
Merger Masters. It's a book that
mhm,
really kind of covers the history of M&A activity in the US from the 1960s on.
mhm.
And, in the US, we're familiar with the term merger arbitrage.
Yeah.
And arbitrage is the French word for scalper, and it's just a
Mhm.
nicer way of saying, the kind of very aggressive
Yeah.
tactics that were taken within M&As.
Mhm,
But ESG, the SEC's
mhm,
guidance on human capital reporting now is really saying, hey, we've got to look at this differently.
mhm,
We can no longer just, buy a company and cut it into pieces and sell off portions. We've
mhm,
got to look at a holistic view by way of the environmental and social governance that is impacted
mm.
through the activity.
Yeah. I think the evolution's good. Like it makes for a better workplace, better economy, better just more value in the marketplace. I mean, at the end of this, because all of us as employees, as founders, as whatever your title is, doesn't matter. Like when we go to work and we add value, like we're giving a piece of ourselves, right? Our time, literally our life energy. And of course you get paid for this, right? That's part of it. But like you want to have more connection than just the dollars that you take home, right? Like that's not where we all as a civilization move forward. So I like the style, I like the integration, I like the approach that White Label Advisors is taking. um, that being said, Christine, I will, and for everybody watching, don't worry, we're going to be bringing Christine back for the second interview, of course. But I just have to ask, what's next? I mean, what's next for you? What's next for White Label Advisors?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Very exciting things are next. We're working on enhancing and increasing our exposure
Mhm.
over North America, and some exciting things to come there.
Yeah.
And we're really honing in on supporting organizations understand this next level and kind of next gen approach to people and talent.
Mm,
Uh, what what we're doing is an atypical business model,
mhm,
and it's not taught yet in MBA schools, although some experiential MBA schools are popping up,
mhm,
and it's not taught kind of within our current financial modeling. But we believe the qualitative is truly
mhm,
quantitative, and we're doing a lot of work there to further establish and demonstrate how that's so.
mm,
And some of that's through AI technology. In another way, some is content creation that we're doing too.
mhm. Amazing. If somebody's watching this, Christine, and they want more information or to connect with you and your team at White Label Advisors, what's the best way for them to get that?
Thanks. They're welcome to email me personally, Christine at whitelabeladvisors.com.
Mm,
Also, solutions at
mhm.
whitelabeladvisors.com. They can connect with us there. I'm on LinkedIn. It's Christine Wzorek. And those are the best ways to connect.
Perfect. And for the audience that's watching this, we will or listening to this, we'll put all that information in the show notes so that you can just go on the show notes, click on the links, and head right on over and check out Christine and her team. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters, listening to an episode or engaging with our platform in general, we're all about bringing on entrepreneurs, executives, experts, having them share their mission, why they do what they do, how they're doing it. Like, what do we all learn from these stories, and how can we all benefit and grow together? If that's the type of content that's interesting or sounds engaging to you, we welcome you. Hit that subscribe button. We have many more mission-based individuals coming up on the line, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Christine, really, it has been a pleasure. Can't wait to the next time that we get to work with each other when this book gets launched. So come on.
Likewise, Adam, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure working with you, speaking with you, and can't wait for that book launch.